Senator Lindsey Graham is making a bombshell allegation that the prosecutors investigating Hunter Biden were shown the secret FBI documents, which alleges a larger bribery scheme involving multi-million-dollar payments to the Biden family from foreign interest. So are they just looking the other way? Joining us now is Barr, a former Republican congressman from Georgia and former U.S. attorney. Congressman Barr, welcome to the show. Good to see you this evening. Okay, every day I feel like we get new allegations on the Biden family. So is the Justice Department just not taking these seriously?
It's very hard to tell. What you seem to have here, Lindsay, is a long-standing, ongoing dispute between the IRS and the Department of Justice. This is not unusual. The IRS carries considerable weight with the Department of Justice whenever there's a U.S. attorney, as I was in Atlanta for several years, seeking to bring tax charges against a target, an individual. The IRS is usually very careful about what cases they bring so that they don't set a precedent if they lose the case for other districts. Here we seem to have the opposite effect. We have the IRS through whistleblower testimony or whistleblower statements saying that it was the IRS that was aggressively pushing the Hunter Biden investigation and the lawyers at the Department of Justice who were slowing it down. We don't know, certainly at this point, how much of that is true, but I think Senator Graham is right. There's a lot of smoke here, and I think it's a legitimate area for Congress to look more deeply into.
Okay, so we have this whistleblower Shapley who's now given statement under oath, also to the public. How much responsibility does the Department of Justice have to incorporate that now into an investigation? Because this U.S. attorney, David Weiss, has said this investigation was ongoing still.
And hopefully it is, because there are so many unanswered questions, both those that you just mentioned that the Senate and the House have uncovered, as well as the public's interest here. So I think it needs to, the Department of Justice, while they may not have a legal responsibility to answer these questions, they certainly have a responsibility in terms of transparency and the public's interest here. Now, whether or not Merrick Garland will authorize a deep dive by the Congress, either House of the Congress, into the inner workings of his prosecutors here, I don't know yet. But I think it would serve him well to do so, to try and remove any taint that certainly is there that the case has been improperly slowed down. It's really up to Merrick Garland to show the American people that it hasn't been, if that's the case.
So let me ask you about this judge who's been appointed to the Hunter Biden plea deal case, a Trump-appointed judge, that is. Should she or can she incorporate this knowledge of the whistleblowers into the plea deal? Could that change how she rules on that?
I don't think that that really would be relevant for the judge in terms of sentencing. If, in fact, it's a plea deal that both the defendant, Hunter Biden in this case, and the Department of Justice lawyers have worked out, it would be very unusual for a judge to go behind that on issues that aren't directly related to the plea itself. So I doubt that that will happen later in July when he is set to enter his plea.
So these whistleblowers have said that they were blocked from investigating the big guy, which we suspect is Joe Biden. Should it, or can at this point, we talk about Attorney General Merrick Garland, can he appoint a special counsel to investigate that? Would that appease the public? What is his role that he should do at this point?
The case is already so complicated that very few people publicly, except those of us like yourself that follow this, or myself as a former U.S. attorney, or members of Congress, can really understand what's going on. Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, their goal might be to make it just as complicated as possible so that everybody sort of just throws their hands up and says, none of us can understand this. So the Department of Justice needs to be very careful not to overcomplicate the case and to simply go before the Congress if, in fact, there is no damage to an ongoing investigation and clear the air. If there is, in fact, a serious ongoing investigation of Hunter Biden, then the Department of Justice needs to make that clear to the Congress, and Congress should back off for the time being. So that really, to me, is the issue here, whether or not there's a true ongoing investigation or not.
Congressman Bob Barr, appreciate your time and expertise this evening. Good to see you, sir.
My pleasure.